Hello guys, it's Drew. Before I start this video, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who I've met during my Classic WoW journey. I started this channel as sort of a video journal documenting my time in Classic WoW, and while doing that I've met so many awesome and cool people. I still run into people all the time on Grobulus and in Battlegrounds that say that they love the videos, and they always ask me when I'm releasing my next one, so I really appreciate that, guys. That's why I love making these videos. That being said, Classic is over now and we're in the Burning Crusade. So this video is going to be my full Phase 1 best in slot guide for Shadow Priests in the Burning Crusade. I'm going to give a full 100% best in slot list. So this means literally every piece that's best for you. But those aren't all the easiest to get, so those of you who have been watching the channel for a while now know I like to give something called a realistic best in slot. So these are pieces minimally worse but a lot easier to get, and personally what I'm going to be aiming for during Phase 1. And I also want to give a third gear set, which is, I'm just calling it a fresh pre-BiS set. So this is for anyone who boosted a priest, didn't play Shadow Priest during Classic WoW, you don't have any gear that's rolling over or anything like that, this gear set is for you. It's mostly from questing and heroics, and it's a little bit worse, but it's definitely good enough to get you into your Karas. You can do heroics in it and all that. So with that being said, let's get right into it, guys. So this is the full 100% best in slot gear set for Shadow Priests in the Burning Crusade. This is the best piece of gear you can get in every slot. We're just going to go down the list piece by piece, and I'm going to explain why it's good and where to get it. So let's start with the Spellstrike hood. This is the helmet. It's a BOE. Many of these pieces in this gear set are BOE. You are going to have to be a tailor in the Burning Crusade as a Shadow Priest. I'm sorry, if you do not want to become a tailor, do not play a Shadow Priest in the Burning Crusade, because not the Spellstrike set, but the Frozen Shadow Weave set, which we'll talk about here in a second, you need to be a tailor because it's a craftable pieces, but they're BOP, so you can't buy them. But the Spellstrike set you can buy. The helmet is your best in slot for Phase 1, 12 int, 16 stam. There's a new enchant in the game. It's from the getting revered reputation with the Shatar, and the enchant's awesome. 22 damage and healing and 14 spell hit. Just like in Classic WoW, priests need 16% hit. They changed how they display the value, so instead of being like 1% hit or 2% hit, it's an actual numerical value, but you'll still see in your spellbook it gives you a percentage, and you only need 6% hit from gear because you do get 10% hit from talent still, which is awesome, and this enchant gives you 14 hit rating right there, so that's a decent amount of hit. Another new thing about gear in the Burning Crusade are gems. If you've never played WoW before, past Classic WoW, there are sockets for gear that you can put gems, which give bonuses. For Phase 1, the best gem for Shadow Priest is called the Runed Living Ruby, which is a +9 spell damage gem. You are literally going to put that gem in every socket. There may be some niche circumstances where you need a little bit of hit here or something like that. You can spare one or two here or there, but for most sockets you're going to be using that gem. So 3 sockets on the helmet, which is awesome. 24 crit, 16 hit, 46 damage and healing. Awesome piece. It's going to be your best in slot for Phase 1. Next we have Ritzen's Lost Pendant. Rest in peace, Choker of the Fire Lord. Honestly, you can wear Choker of the Fire Lord until you get this necklace. As I'm recording this video, I'm still wearing my Choker, and I'm going to be wearing my Choker until I get this. This drops from Trash and Karazhan. Karazhan is pretty easy raid. You should be running it every week, and Shadow Priests have a lot more beneficial role to a raid than they did in Classic WoW. If you don't know much about that, there are plenty of awesome videos on YouTube explaining the actual role of a Shadow Priest in TBC, and so that's good. So it's going to be a lot easier to get into raids and things like that. and Karazhan is one of the easier raids, and this is drops off trash, so it's one of the easier pieces to get. Next, the Frozen Shadowweave Shoulders. The Frozen Shadowweave set is so good for Shadow Priests that we wear it through Phase 6 of the Burning Crusade. Because of that, this should be your first priority in this game, is getting the mats for Frozen Shadowweave. This website that I'm using, 70upgrades.com, is really cool. If you scroll down here, you'll see it tells you all the mats for all the enchants you're going to need, all the gems you'll need, and all the pieces of gear you need. So it gives you a piece by piece, breakdown of all the mats you'll need. I'll leave this link in the description so you guys can have this and click through it and customize it as you want. For the Frozen Shadowweave set, you're gonna need a bunch of this thing called Shadow Cloth. It's like sort of like Mooncloth in Classic WoW. You have a cooldown. That's gonna be where most of your money is going towards this set, but it's so good. You're going to be killing Illidan most likely in the Frozen Shadowweave set, so go for that over everything. The first piece is the shoulders, 15 int, 21 stam, 18 damage, and 10 spell crit. So there's a new shoulder enchant. It's from Exalted in the Outdoors. Shadow Priest should be going Outdoors over Scryer. There's nothing in the Scryer that's better than this enchant. There may be some pieces, like there's a ring, for example, that's pretty good in Phase 1, but you're going to replace that in Phase 2. And this enchant you'll be using the whole game. But another good thing about it is, if you played Classic WoW and you're Exalted with ZG, ZG gives you a shoulder enchant that is also 18 damage and healing. So this is, while technically your BiS, it's just 10 crit better than the ZG enchant. I personally have put my Aldor rep on the back burner for now. I don't do much into it, minus the mats I get from running dungeons and things like that. It'll probably most likely be one of the last things I aim to do in Phase 1, just because it's such a minimal upgrade. But that's not saying that you shouldn't get it, because it is your best in slot for the whole expansion. And then 2 sockets and 50 shadow damage and healing. This Frozen Shadowweave Shoulders give us a set bonus. Your Frost and Shadow spells heal you for 2% of the damage they deal. Not that relevant in raids, but it's definitely not useless. It's beneficial to you in heroics and dungeons. With this plus Vampiric Embrace, you'll probably never be low on health, which means more Shadow Word deaths and things like that, which is awesome. The cloak, the Illidari Cloak. So this is probably going to be one of your harder pieces, or one of the most expensive pieces you can get, because it is BOE. This drops from the Chief Engineer, which is a mob that is in one of the mana bases in Netherstorm. And why this cloak is so hard to get is because it's a blue cloak with a random enchantment. So like other pieces of gear, this can give one of many buffs. It can give like frost damage, fire damage, health, resistances, but the best one for Shadow Priest is plus 47 shadow damage. This is an awesome cloak. It's your Phase 1 BiS, but it's going to be pretty expensive or pretty hard to get. I see these going for about 2,500 gold on Grobulus. And 2% reduced threat enchant, the subtlety enchant, is your best enchant for your cloak. Frozen Shadowweave Robe. 20 int, 30 stam. I have the 15 spirit enchant on here. There is a +6 to all stats enchant. I personally think I would want the 15 spirit more than the 6 to all stats, but I may be wrong. If I am wrong about that, definitely let me know in the comments, because I would like to be corrected so I can start using the +6 to all stats. But the 15 spirit just seems better to me. 2 sockets, plus 72 shadow damage. This is a fat piece. Like I said before, you're going to be wearing all Frozen Shadowweave through Phase 6 of this game. The Bracers of Havoc. BOE, tailors can make this. You can buy this piece on the auction house if you want, or you can just craft it yourself. 12 int. Now Blizzard added in the Burning Crusade a plus 15 spell damage enchant to Bracers, which is awesome. And this has a socket, so you can put a 9 damage gem in there and 30 damage and healing. So just from your Bracers alone, you're getting plus 52 damage That's amazing, and this is a BOE piece. One of your easier pieces you're going to be able to get because it's a blue BOE craftable, and like most of these pieces, you're going to be farming gold and farming mats for it. So, and this is one of the pieces you're going to be doing it for as well. So now that we've gone into some of the easier pieces, just talked about one of the easier pieces, let's talk about probably the hardest pieces to get. So Talon of the Tempest. This is your phase 1 BiS weapon, but it drops off of a world boss. So unless you're playing on a low populated server where you control the world bosses, or you just in a dominating guild that controls the world bosses, you're probably not going to get this, to be honest. But this is your BiS. It drops off of Doomwalker, which is a world boss in Shadow Moon Valley that spawns. Plus 10 int. The best enchant you can get is called Soul Frost. It's plus 54 shadow damage to your weapon, but it's pretty expensive because it drops off of the recipe drops off of a boss in Karazhan. I wouldn't suggest putting Soul Frost on something unless you have a lot of money and you don't care, or you are planning on using it for a very long time. 2 sockets, this is what makes this your BiS because of the 2 sockets. 9 hit, 19 crit, 194 damage and healing. This is just an amazing weapon. It's just really, really hard to get, so good luck with that. Orb of the Soul Eater, this is your offhand. This comes from Badges of Justice, which drop from Heroics, and you can also do a daily that gives you Badges of Justice. They're like a currency. Plus 18 stamina and plus 51 shadow damage. There is another piece of gear in this set that also uses Badges of Justice, and you're going to want to get that piece over this piece 100% first. So you might not get this for a little bit. If you're exalted with AV, the AV offhand is still fine until you get this, because you're gonna want to get the other piece first over this. Next, the Hand Wraps of Flowing a Thought. These drop off of Atumen in Karazhan, the first boss of Karazhan, so really easy piece to get. 24 stam, 22 in, plus 20 spell damage enchant. So there is the 20 shadow damage enchant from Classic, but now they give you a plus 20 spell damage enchant. I don't know if there's any reason to use one over the other. I don't think there is, but the plus 20 damage enchant is just technically better because it adds it to holy spells. So if for some reason you ever pop out of shadow form or something like that and you smite somebody, technically this will give damage to your holy spells and your shadow spells, and the plus 20 shadow damage would only give you damage to your shadow spells. So this is just strictly better, and there's no reason not to use it over the shadow damage enchant. 2 sockets, plus 14 hit and 35 damage and healing. Awesome piece. Hit gloves, 2 sockets, good enchant. Really easy piece to get from the first boss of Kara. Go for this probably first in most raids because it's so easy to get. The Belt of Divine Inspiration, another easy piece to get from the first boss in Gruul's lair, not even from Gruul himself, so you just have to kill High King Malgar. 27 stamina, 26 in, 2 sockets, 43 damage and healing. This is your BiS for phase 1 because of the 2 sockets. If you have Isoc Wastecord from Classic, you can wear that until you get this, but aim for this. This is your BiS, and it's one of the easier pieces to get. Leggings of the 7th Circle. So here's another world boss piece. This drops from Doom Lord Kha'Zix. So just like in Classic, you get your BiS legs from Kha'Zix, but these are not BiS game like Felon Fuse leggings were, but they're still going to be really hard to get. 22 int. There's a new enchant for pants called Runic Spell Thread, 35 spell damage and 20 stamina. This is an amazing enchant. You should definitely be putting this on all your BiS pieces. 3 sockets, 18 hit, 25 crit, and 50 damage and healing. These are 100% better than Spellstrike leggings for Shadow Priests, but the Spellstrike leggings are a lot easier to get because they are craftable. So if you have a bunch of gold you want to spend on the Spellstrike leggings, go for it. They're just minimally worse than this. I think it's literally only like 4 spell damage worse than this. But these are an amazing piece. If you're in a situation where you're killing Kha'Zix, like, oh my god, like, you're so lucky. I would love these leggings. Alright. Frozen Shadow Weave boots, the last piece of Frozen Shadow Weave. There's only 3 pieces in the set. 9 int, 15 stam. There's a new enchant called Boar's Speed, which is it's a minor speed to boots with stamina, which is awesome. 2 sockets, 57 shadow damage, I'll just reiterate this one more time. Your Frozen Shadow Weave is not only your Phase 1 BiS, it's your Phase 2 BiS, and you're going to be wearing it for a decent amount of Phase 3. So your Frozen Shadow Weave should be your first priority over literally everything else as a Shadow Priest. Okay, now that we've said that, we're going to get onto the rings. The rings are actually your best in slot rings for Phase 1 of TBC are actually just your rings from Classic. So if you have Ring of the Fallen God and Band of the Inevitable, you have your best in slot rings for the TBC. There are no rings that give more damage than these two rings, but there are rings that give 1 or 2 damage less than this. So if you didn't play Classic, you don't have these rings, don't feel too bad, because there's a ring, I think it's from Heroic Manitombs, the last boss, I think, gives 35 damage. There is a ring from the Scryers that gives 35 damage, but do not go for that. There's no reason to go for the Exalted for the ring, because you'll replace the ring in Phase 2. The Shoulder Enchant you'll never replace, so you need to just be patient on that and get the Aldor Enchant over the Scryer ring. But yeah, for the Phase 1 BiS, your Classic rings are your BiS. I have Ring of the Fallen God. Very easy piece to get in Classic, 100% drop. I don't have Band of the Inevitable personally, so I'm gonna be going for that Manitombs ring. If I don't get it, Seal of the Exorcist is a fine replacement, but we're gonna talk more about the realistic later. But your Phase 1 BiS is your Classic rings. There you go. Also, Mark of the Champion is not only your Phase 1 BiS, it's your BiS game for most purposes. This is from Kel'Thuzad in Classic WoW. Plus 85 damage and healing to undead and demons. Most of the dungeons in the Burning Crusade are demons and undead. There's only a couple that aren't, so you're going to be wearing this majority of the time. So yeah, 85 damage and healing, awesome. Icon of the Silver Crescent. This is the other piece of badge gear I was talking about. You're going to want to get this over the Orb of the Soul Eater. 43 damage and healing on use, plus 155 damage for 20 seconds. Awesome piece. Easy piece to get because you can just do it on your own time. Just do heroics every day. You'll get this in, realistically a week or two of doing heroics. You can get Icon of the Silver Crescent, and it's an awesome piece. Your best in slot wand for Phase 1 is actually a BOE of the Shadow Wand. So it's called Draenus Wand of Shadow Wrath or something like that. It's plus 25 shadow damage. That is the highest you can get from the wand. It's the highest damage wand for Shadow Priest in Phase 1. I got a 24 on the auction house for about 75 gold. 25 is a little more pricey, closer to 200-300 gold I've seen. But I just snagged the 24 for now because I used most of my gold from my Frozen Shadow Weave set. And I was like, whatever, 1 damage, I'll just get it later. So that is the full Phase 1 best in slot guide. Now we're going to get into the realistic best in slot guide. So this is the realistic Phase 1 best in slot guide. Now this is a guide, while it's minimally worse in some slots, it's a lot easier to get. The full Phase 1 best in slot guide is magical Christmas land. You get every piece of gear no matter what. You're killing world bosses, you're getting that Kazakh gear, you're getting that Doomwalker weapon. So yeah, if you can in a position to get that, congrats. But this is a more realistic set. I personally am going to be aiming for this set and will be most likely wearing a lot of this gear at the end of Phase 1. So first we have the Soul Collar of the Incarnate. This is your Tier 4 helmet. Unlike Classic WoW, TBC, it allows you to choose 2 different sets of tier gear, so you can pick a healing or a damage, and you can also get both. So if you do get this damage helm, you can also get the healing helm. I chose this over Spell Strike because I personally do not have the gold for Spell Strike right now, and this is a lot easier to get. It drops off of prints, so you will be in a place to get this at least once per week. 28 stam, 35 int, 24 spirit, 22 damage and healing enchant, so really good stats. There is a meta gem socket in it, so for those of you who don't know, meta gems are just gems that are only available in some headpieces, and they are more powerful than normal gems. And then we also have the 9 spell damage in there. And then 16 hit, 39 damage and healing. This is a pretty good helmet for what it is. Like I said, it's a lot easy. It's an easy piece to get. I personally am broke, so I'm not gonna have the Spell Strike helm immediately. I will eventually go for Spell Strike helm, but it's not really one of my priorities right now. So I'm gonna go for the tier 4 helm over that. Then we have the Ritzen's Lost Pendant, Karazhan, Trash Necklace. This is your phase 1 BiS. Pretty easy piece to get. That's why I have it on the realistic. Frozen Shadow Weave. You guys know the deal with the Frozen Shadow Weave. It's your BiS, and you should definitely go for this first. So now we have the cloak, the Shadow Cloak of Dalaran. So instead of the Illidari Cloak, which is very expensive, very rare, and very hard to get, there is this cloak called the Shadow Cloak of Dalaran. Drops off of Morose and Karazhan, so pretty easy to get as well. 18 int, 19 stam, subtly enchant, and 36 damage and healing. So decent amount less than the Illidari Cloak, but the Illidari Cloak is really expensive, really rare, and this drops off an easy boss in Karazhan. Frozen Shadow Weave Robes, still your BiS. Bracers of Havoc, easy to get your BiS, that's why I have this here. So the weapon, instead of the world boss weapon, I have the Nadrium Mind Blade. This is another piece of gear that drops off Prince. 18 stam, 18 int, 23 crit, 203 damage and healing. So while this does have more raw spell damage than the Talon has 2 sockets, which makes it better than this. But this drops off of Prince, and you're going to be killing Prince a lot more than you are a world boss. So that's why I have it in my realistic BiS, and this is the weapon I'm aiming for in phase 1. Orb of the Soul Eater, from badges, easy to get. Definitely should get this on your own time. The Hand Wraps of Flowing Thought and the Belt of Divine Inspiration. We talked about this. They both drop off of the first boss in Kara and Gruul's. Warlocks and Mages don't really want these pieces, so these are going to be some pretty easy pieces to get for Shadow Priest. So now we have the Trial Fire Trousers. So the other legs from Kha'Zix are really hard to get, but these are easy to get. These drop off of Opera Event in Karazhan, and the good thing about them is that this is a piece of gear that is on every boss's loot table, so you don't need a specific boss in the Opera Event to get these, so that's really good. 42 stam, 40 int, 35 damage and healing, 3 sockets, and 49 damage and healing. So, yeah, these the Spell Strike leggings give less spell damage than this. That's why I have these over the Spell Strike leggings. These have 3 sockets. These are from an easy boss to get in Karazhan. I'm gonna go for these over the Spell Strike leggings 100% because these are technically better for Shadow Priest. They give more shadow damage. Frozen Shadow Weave boots. The rings I have in the realistic BiS just because I personally, this is what I want to go for, and I have this ring. Band of the Inevitable, personally, we can change it right now. This is the ring I was talking about before from Manitoum's Heroic, but I'm also going to be wearing my Band of Dark Dominion as well. I don't have the Band of the Inevitable, so Band of Dark Dominion is just a little spell damage less, but I have that. Other than that, there's really nothing else you can get. This is the Scryer's ring I was talking about, 34 damage and healing. Don't go for this because you're going to replace it in the next phase. Go for this. This is what I'm going to be striving for, the Cobalt Band of Tirigosa from Heroic Manitoum's. Then for the trinkets, I have Nef tier over the KT trinket. I need a hit with this gear set, and Nef tier is still a really good trinket to wear in TBC. 16 hit, 44 damage healing, really good. It's a pretty good trinket. I'm gonna be wearing it because I need the hit. Icon of the Silver Crescent, another badge piece, really good piece, a piece you can get on your own time, and a piece that you should be going for first. And then the BOE wand. Like I said, I have a 24. The highest roll you can get is a 25, and that's what you should be aiming for. So this gear set was just something that is a little bit worse than the full BiS, but a lot easier to get. Now, the last gear set I'm going to go over is something I'm just calling the Fresh Pre-BiS, so let's get right into that. This is the Fresh Pre-BiS set for Shadow Priest in Phase 1 of TBC. This is a gear set you're going to want to go for if you boosted a character during pre-patch, if you didn't raid as Shadow in Classic or you didn't play Classic at all, or you're a healing priest and you're just trying to build an offset on your own time and you don't want to spend the gold on Frozen Shadow Weave and stuff like that. So this mainly comes from rep rewards, heroics, and straight from questing. So, and the great thing about this is you're just a little bit less hit capped, but there are pieces that I'm going to talk about that you can rotate in and out to be hit capped with this set. So first thing we have is the Evoker's Helmet of Second Sight. This is from the Terron Gorfine questline in Shadow Moon Valley, so pretty easy to do. 12 stam, 15 in 8 spirit. I have the Shatar enchant on there because all you need is Revered for that. It shouldn't be that hard to get. So now you'll see I have +7 spell damage gems in here instead of the +9. +9 spell damage gems on Grobulus at least are 100 each plus, and the +7 are about 13 gold each. So I personally use the +7 gems as placeholders in most pieces I have until I get a little extra gold or I get a fully BiS piece that I'm willing to put it in. But you should be using this +7 spell damage gems if you don't want to spend the gold on the +9. And for this set of gear, I personally wouldn't invest the gold on the +9 damage gems. So we're going to use +7 for all sockets in this set. 24 damage and healing. Or excuse me, 24 crit, 35 damage and healing, and then it has an effect which is, it's just relevant to the quest line in Shadow Moon Valley. It has nothing to do with anything outside of that. This is a good piece. Technically, this is the best pre-BiS piece I would say you can get, and it's really easy to get. It has 3 sockets, really good piece, easy quest chain to do. Next, we have Natasha's Ember Necklace. This is from another easy quest chain to do in Blade's Edge Mountains. +15 int, 10 crit, 29 damage and healing. Really easy to get. Awesome necklace. The Mana Etch Spalders. These are going to be from Heroic Slave Pens off of Quag. You're going to be running Heroic Slave Pens a decent amount as a Shadow Priest for a trinket we'll talk about here in a little bit. But these are really good. 25 stam, 17 int. I have the Aldor enchant on there, 2 sockets, 16 crit, 20 damage and healing. These are pretty good shoulders, pretty easy to get. Another decent piece you can get that would probably be easier are the Spalders of Oblivion. These are really good as well. 2 sockets. You know what? Actually, now that I'm looking at this on the fly, these are actually just straight up better. They give the same stats and everything. So I'm going to change that right now on the fly. I'm going to put in the +7 spell damage gems. And yeah, okay. We're winging it, guys. Spalders of Oblivion. These are actually better than the Mana Etch Spalders. They have the same stats, but they give 9 more damage and healing. So, and these are a lot easier to get. These drop off of the last boss in normal Shadow Labs, which you should be running a lot for reasons here we're going to talk about in a second. Cloak of the Black Void. This is a BOE cloak that you can get. 11 int, 2% reduced threat enchant, subtlety enchant, 35 damage and healing. If you don't want to spend the gold, this is an easy cloak to get really good. It's called the Cloak of Woven Energy. It's from a quest chain in Netherstorm. 13 int, 6 stam, 3 spirit, 6 crit, 29 damage and healing. So if you don't want to drop the gold for the Cloak of the Black Void, you can go for the Cloak of Woven Energy, and it's a lot easier to get and minimally worse. Auchenite Anchorite's Robes. I have these here because they're from a quest chain in Terracar, and then all you have to do is run 1 Auchenite Crypts and you get these as a reward. 24 int. I have the 15 spirit enchant on here again. 3 sockets. 23 hit, which is a really good amount, and 28 damage and healing. So these are a pretty good piece. If you're going to be using this gear set, you're going to need to get hit from somewhere. This is a very good hit piece, very easy to get. 3 sockets. Yeah, this is decent robes. Bracers of Havoc I have on here because these are your actual Phase 1 BiS, and they are BOE craftable that you can buy from the auction house. And for these, I have the +9 damage gem in there because these are actually your Phase 1 BiS. So now for the weapon, the Gavel of Unearthed Secrets. This is from Exalted Rep with Lower City. 24 stam, 16 int, 40 spell damage enchant. So this is minimally worse than Soul Frost, but a lot cheaper. I wouldn't put Soul Frost on something unless you have the gold or you plan on using it for a very long time. 15 crit and 159 damage and healing. So this is a really good mace. You get it just from doing rep in Lower City, so you should be running the heck out of Shadow Labs, and you will get an awesome mace as a reward. That's why I have it here. There really aren't many replacements for this. There is one, if you don't want to do the rep for whatever reason, there is the Starlight Dagger. This drops off the first boss in Heroic Slave Pens. This is a decent, it's worse, but it's good. The reason that makes it good is that it has 16 hit on it. So if you do need the hit and you don't want to grind the rep, you're willing to sacrifice some spell power, Starlight Dagger is a fine replacement. But the Gavel is just for the fact that it doesn't drop and it's just from running Heroics. You can get this in a week or two just doing a couple of Shadow Labs a day, and you'll get this. Next, for the offhand, there's not really many options. If you're not exalted with AV, which this gear set is not really made for people exalted with AV, there's really not that many great options. I could have put the badge one, but I just wanted to highlight this one. It's just from a quest in Shadow Moon Valley, or excuse me, Netherstorm. 25 damage and healing, 8 crit, 11 int. It's pretty decent for how easy it is to get. The rest are really just from, you can do, if you want to do honor, no, I wouldn't suggest that. This really is one of your best options you have for how easy it is to get. So I would get the Imbued Drainless Crystal with this gear set. Next, we have the Tempest Touch. These are from your Caverns of Time quest. These are really good because they have 2 sockets, 10 stam, 20 int, 6 spirit, 20 spell damage, 27 damage in healing, and 10 spell penetration, which is pretty good. These are a pretty good piece for how easy they are to get. If you're going for this gear set, all you have to do is your Caverns of Time's quests and you'll get this, so that's good too. The Glyph-Lined Sash. This is from another quest, this is from Heroic Mana Tombs as well. This is a belt. It gives 21 stam, 23 int, 2 sockets, 9 crit, and 30 damage and healing. This is a really good belt. The 2 sockets make it really good. You just have to do a heroic for it. Probably one of the easier pieces to get from heroics, and yeah, pretty good. Khadgar's Kilt of Abjuration. This drops from normal Black Morass. Pretty good leggings for pre-BiS. 22 int, 20 stam, 15 spirit. I have the Runic Spell Thread on there. It's a little pricey, but if you have the gold, like I've been saying, you can just throw it on there. 3 sockets, which is what makes this really good, and 36 damage and healing. For a normal Black Morass, this piece is really big because of the 3 sockets. So you're gonna have to do Black Morass to get Carrier Tuned. You're gonna want to get the rep. You gotta do your Caverns of Time quests. So you're gonna be doing Black Morass, and these pants may drop. So good luck, and these are awesome pants. Shatrath Jumpers. This is from a quest chain in Akanon, so you just have to do the entry Akanon quests. I forget exactly which instance you have to run, but you just have to run one of the dungeons and you get these boots. 25 stam, 17 int. I have the Boar Speed on there. We got 2 sockets, 29 damage and healing. Another piece. These 3 pieces, the robes, the gloves, and the boots, all just come from doing the Akanon entry dungeon quests, and you get all 3 of these. So these are really 3 good pieces that are really easy to get. Seal of the Exorcist. The reason I have this here is because if you're going to be going for Gavel, if you're going to be doing Akanon a bunch anyway, you should be able to acquire 50 Spirit Shards. I do know there are some servers where the population is so skewed that I've been reading that there are some servers that literally cannot get Spirit Shards ever. If you're one of those servers, I'm sorry. I suggest transferring off. Other than that, you could get the Cobalt Band. There is this ring from Karazhan, which is actually pretty good and pretty easy to get. Once you get Kara tuned, you can do that quest, and it's sort of like the AQ40 ring, where it starts as a lower quality, and the higher rep you get, the better the ring gets. So that's definitely a fine replacement. But Seal of the Exorcist is really good because it gives 12 hit and 28 damage and healing. So a little bit less damage and healing, but a lot of hit. So Seal of the Exorcist is really good. Mana Storm Band. This is from, this is from a quest chain in Netherstorm, shutting down Mana Forge Ara. 15 int, 10 grit, 29 damage and healing. Another ring that's easy to get just from a quest chain. There are a couple of rings here that you can get from. This is another ring from a quest chain, the Marker Redemption. So if you can't get Seal of the Exorcist, you definitely have options. Now for the trinkets, we have the Quagmiran's Eye. 37 damage and healing, and it has your harmful spells have a chance to increase your spell haste by 320 for 6 seconds. So for those of you that don't know, spell haste affects how quickly Mind Flay channels. So when you are bloodlusted and have drums pop, your Mind Flay channels really fast and you're getting full damage out of it. So this trinket is amazing. I didn't include it in the full BiS list, but it's still a great, awesome trinket. Like 100% go for Quag's Eye. I personally am going for Quag's Eye just because it's so good. But it's very competitive. All mages and warlocks want it. It's one of the harder pieces in this gear set to get, but it's still really good. And then I also have the Arcanist Stone. This is drops from the last boss in Heroic Old Hillsbrad. 25 hit, which is a lot of hit. And then it has an on use, increases your damage and healing by 167 for 20 seconds. So it's really, really good trinket. But it drops off the last boss in a Heroic, so might not be one of the easiest to get. But the good thing about that is that there is a replacement from a quest chain in Terakar Forest. Gotta find it here. It's called this, the Terakar Tablet of Vim. I typed Vin, excuse me. 22 hit, and then it has an on use of increases spell damage by up to 84 and healing by up to 156, but it still gives you spell damage. So this is a fine replacement for the Arcanist Stone. Arcanist Stone is technically better, but this comes just from an easy quest chain in Terakar Forest, so you'll most likely be using the Terakar Tablet of Vim over the Arcanist Stone. And then I have the BOE wand. You know, if you find on the auction house, you find a 23, 24, even 22 is really good. 22 is pretty cheap too. So anything from 22 to 25 is acceptable. 25 is BiS. I'm using a 24, so it's literally one less. So yeah, that's why I have the wand. So this set, as you see, pretty easy to get. Very doable, mostly from heroics, mostly from quest chains, and a couple of rep pieces thrown in there, but you'll be running all those instances anyway, and this is definitely an awesome set that you can go for if you are a boosted character or didn't play Shadow in Classic WoW. So that was my full Phase 1 Best in Slot gear guide for Shadow Priest and TBC. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to making a lot more videos in TBC for PvE, but also for PvP. I love PvPing, I love doing arenas, and I can't wait to make some PvP related content for TBC. I like to play Discipline in Arena as well as Shadow, so definitely be on the lookout for a little Discipline PvP content, but we're going to stick mainly to the Shadow for PvE. If you guys have any questions or suggestions of videos you want me to make, definitely always leave a comment down below. I reply to and read every single comment you guys leave me. And other than that, I'll see y'all in Azeroth, guys.